Welcome everybody, we might get started. So my name's Gabby, I work for the sales team for Coral Expeditions. I'm based in Cairns and I'd just like to start with saying a big welcome and thanks so much for taking the time out of your day today for tuning in for our solo travel webinar. But for anybody that basically needs to jump offline early or you'd like to share this webinar with friends or family, we are recording today's webinar and I will send out a recording to everybody after today's presentation. And then you can share that with friends or family, or you can rewatch it again. So there will be an opportunity at the end to do a question and answer session. But at any stage during the presentation, please feel free to add any questions you might have. There is a chat icon section at the top of your screen. So if you just click on there and then you can pop in any questions and then we'll get to those at the end. But basically, let's get started, guys. So I'm going to run you through some frequently asked questions that we get in regards to solo travel and give you a bit more of an insight on everything you need to know about traveling solo on a Coral Expeditions voyage. I was lucky enough to actually experience the Kimberley last year with an amazing group of people, and there was many other like-minded solo travelers on board my voyage. So over a year later, we still check in with each other regularly and dream about our next holiday. So I'm just going to share a bit of my experience with you and hopefully that gives you a bit more of an insight on what it's like traveling solo with us. All right, so I think a huge fear of traveling solo is who am I going to sit with at meal times? How do I put my introverted self out there? Go sit with a bunch of strangers. I think that crosses most people's minds. But I'm sure we've all had these thoughts when we're booking a trip, and that's part of today's webinar, hopefully trying to ease that for you and make that booking experience and traveling experience a lot easier. So on the first day, especially, I noticed that the purser will be making sure that everybody feels comfortable and they don't feel excluded. And the onboard team, they really do an amazing job to make sure everybody's included in everything. So the way our dining's actually set up on board is there's always tables to accommodate odd and even numbers. So being a small ship, you'll find that you get to meet everyone and you'll usually know everybody by first name in the first 3 days of the voyage. So in this image that you can see on the screen was the lovely group of solo travelers that I had on my voyage, and we ended up dining regularly all together, and this was a beautiful evening that we got to experience together at sunset in the Kimberley. But yeah, you'll find that you sort of form a connection with similar like-minded travelers and you'll tend to always sit together at mealtimes by the end of your voyage. But then also people will mix around as well. Because you'll have your couples on board. They are also very welcoming and you'll find they'll also be very inclusive. They always invite you to dine with them as well. So you're not always just with the same group of people. It's very different. And then on our voyages, we also have our guest lecturers. So they're always hand selected for their knowledge based on the voyage that you're going on. And basically they'll be dining with us as well. So they'll be there breakfast, lunch and dinner, and you might get to find yourself dining at their table and then you're getting that the wealth of their knowledge as an added bonus during mealtime. So a common question we see in our Facebook group is how did you find the staff on board? Did they actively try to accommodate solo travellers by grouping you together with other travellers and just always ensuring that you're included? So that comes up quite a lot. A lot of people, I think, get concerned about being on shore excursions on your own as well. So the team, again, do an amazing job but by accommodating everybody. So whether it was the cruise attendants, the engineers, the captain, whoever it may be, they were just so personable, treated everybody like they were their own family. It was really nice to see. But our overall customer feedback, we do have a 96% success rate of a 5 out of 5 rating for the overall common theme being the crew made it. And I definitely witnessed that myself. They were always ensuring that someone had a buddy. They didn't feel left out. So they did a really good job at that. So again, as I said, whether it's making sure you're included at mealtime, they'll keep you company on a hike, or it might be making sure you have a snorkel buddy, but they're always looking out for the solo travellers. Again, in our solo travel Facebook group, members have quite often spoken about numerous occasions that it is fun to travel solo, but sometimes it can be hard not sharing the experience with anyone and having those memories with. Well, I think a good example is this photo here. This is Jodie and a lovely couple that formed a great friendship. So Jodie's in the front there. She was a solo traveller on my trip, and then you've got the couple there next to her in a helicopter heading up to Mitchell Falls. But she formed an amazing friendship with Sue and her husband, and they ended up being shore excursion buddies pretty much on every excursion that we did. So it was really cute. They always saved her a seat on the Explorers. They always looked out for her, and they formed a really nice connection and a new friend to share their experience with. So even though you feel a little bit, on your own as a solo traveler, you'll probably find there's a lot of couples out there looking to make new friends as well. And that's part of our trips. There's a lot of like-minded travelers. They're very eager to meet other fellow travelers and share their stories as well. So a bit of inspiration. I guess what encouraged me to travel solo, and what advice do I have for solo travelers that may be more of the introverted side, find it hard to make their first solo travel trip and step out and be brave. But I'd actually also like to hear from you guys on this one too. So if you've got any advice, if you're quite a regular solo traveler, pop in the chat section, start up a bit of a discussion, and put your advice in there for other fellow solo travelers, and that might encourage them if they're a bit nervous to take that first leap and book that solo travel trip. I'd love to hear from you. But I'll give you a bit of an insight on my first solo trip. So my first trip was to Vietnam. And I think for me, it was somewhere I always wanted to go. And I thought, you know what, if I don't take the leap and do it now, I might never do it. And you only live once, you've got to just do these things. So I booked it, and off I went traveling Vietnam on my own, and I had the best trip ever. I find you form some amazing friendships, one that you probably wouldn't always do if you're with a group of friends. You put yourself out there a bit more. And now I've got connections all around the world. So traveling solo, as I said, is a great way to actually meet people, make new friends. When you're traveling as that group, you tend to stick to yourselves. So yeah, I mean, just do it. I think you won't regret it. It's just that initial step that you got to take to actually book it and lock it in. But have a look at the chat, see if anyone else has popped anything out there, some advice, and yeah, they might be able to encourage you to take your first solo trip. I think we've just got a few more entering in, guys, so just bear with me. I'm just going to enter them into the webinar. All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining. Okay. All right, and then what's next? So next on my bucket list is lots. It's hard to pick. There's so many places to go and see, as I'm sure you've all got the same issue. That's a good issue to have. However, I think next on my trip would be into the wilds of Borneo. So this trip departs Singapore and travels through to Makassar. But it's got a bit of everything. That's why I sort of have this on my top of my bucket list. It's got wildlife, culture, nature, and many beautiful tropical beaches and jungles along the way, which is what I love. But a great option about this voyage is there's actually a 2-hour charter flight, which is offered from Makassar to Darwin. So this just takes the ease and the peace of mind, I think, for traveling in a foreign country on your own. You don't have to think about anything. The crew will be there, and they travel with you from the ship. They take you to the airport, and then you're all together on a flight back to Australia. So it makes it very easy. All right. Got another person. Welcome, Susan. Thanks for joining. Okay, so this is a lovely lady named Liz who I met on my trip in this photo. But I think a big thing about solo travel, if you're not the best selfie taker, as you can see, this is my effort of a selfie. There's always someone there that's going to take your photo. And it's really nice to have these photos as your memories and share them with your friends and family when you get back. But whether this is someone who's great at taking a selfie, one of our friendly crew, or one of the fellow guests on board, you're never going to be short of an opportunity. And don't hesitate to ask. People are always quite happy to, you take my photo, I'll take yours. But yeah, just enjoy your experience. Take as many photos, get someone to take the photos with you. The crew are always more than happy to do that. And I'm sure they'll do a sneaky little selfie with you as well. But as I said, this is myself and a lovely lady named Liz who was on her own. And this was a nice selfie we took on a remote sand cay near Michaelmas, sorry, not Michaelmas, Montgomery Reef in the Kimberley, drinking champagne. And then we all ended up having a bit of a boogie to Aber after as well while the sun was going down. So what more could you want? New friends, great company. Now, I've mentioned a few times the Facebook group. So we do have a great Facebook group, which is a platform for fellow solo travelers to connect and meet like-minded travelers. It's a place where Coral Expeditions, and we will keep you guys up to date with the latest solo traveler special offers, standby singles availability, and guest match opportunities, which I'll touch on a bit later. So many guests use this group as well to find fellow solo travel companions. We'll see what trips they're booking on. If you don't want to share a room, you can still be on the same voyage together. And then you'll probably find that you might book multiple cruises with them as well. So you can find the group by searching Coral Expeditions Solo Travelers. So that's Coral Expeditions Solo Travelers, or by visiting the Solo Traveller Resources section on our website. So just go up to the main menu and then you'll see Solo Travellers, and there's a link to it there as well. And I definitely suggest that you should join that just to keep up to date, and you can see what other travellers are asking and the replies they get, because we've got a lot of solo travellers that have done a lot of trips with us in there as well. So if you're new, you might want to ask some questions in there, and they would be more than happy to have a chat with you. So Coral Expeditions, we are Australia's pioneering expedition cruise operator. So we do have a fleet of three specialised expedition ships, and we take our guests to some of the most beautiful and undiscovered islands and coastal regions of the world. So our product team, they're amazing. They've worked pretty hard to create some of the most exotic and unique itineraries that are actually in the market today. And as I mentioned earlier, we do offer charter flights on some of our voyages, which are in more of those hard to reach places, which, as I said, can be unnerving to travel on your own. And we've just, got that peace of mind by just having one of our crew with you the whole way. We also have medical professionals on board our international voyages as well. And again, that's just added peace of mind when you're traveling on your own. But for more information on our voyages and places we visit, you can view all our destinations on our website or get in touch with your travel agent as well. They'd be happy to help. So we do have our three purpose-built ships. We are a true expedition cruise operator. So we're more about the destinations that we're visiting and not the ships themselves. So basically with our ships, we've got two of our larger ones, Coral Geographer and Coral Adventurer. Now they hold 120 passengers. Then we've got Coral Discoverer, which is our yacht-like vessel, and she holds 72 passengers. So no matter which ship you travel on, you still get that nice intimate feel on board, and always that warm Australian hospitality, very relaxed environment on board. As I mentioned earlier, you'll find that you get to know everybody by first name, usually by the third or fourth day. Then by the end of the voyage, it becomes like a nice little family on board. So in regards to the rooms, all the staterooms are outward facing. So no matter where you are in the ship, you're going to get a great view. So they start from a porthole window, then go picture window, balconies up to our bridge deck suites. And so we always, no matter which voyage, we do have a set allotment of rooms on each departure for solo travellers. So the rooms have plenty of space. They can be set up for 2 twin single beds, or you could have a king bed if you're just on your own. But for more images and size of the staterooms, if you're interested, you can find these on our website. For further information, see pictures of them, or again, you can always reach out to your travel agent. They have this information as well. Now, it can always be a little bit nerve-wracking, I find, going on shore excursions and activities on your own. But we do run all our shore excursions with our own team. We don't hand over to third-party operators, and we usually run our shore excursions on our Explorer tenders and our Zodiacs. So I'll just tell you a little bit about each of these. But the Explorers is what you can see on the screen here. Now, they're very easily accessible and comfortable. They are a trademark vessel, and they've actually been purpose-built for our ships, so they work very well. But how they work is they're loaded on a hydraulic platform on the back of the ship. So if you have a look at the image in your bottom right-hand side there, you'll see the tender just loaded up the back there. So basically all you do is just walk straight out, which is the image above that, from the dining room straight across a little platform. You take a nice comfortable seat. We take everybody at once as well, so no one's waiting. There's no roster system. And then basically just lowers you down to the water and off you go in 5 minutes. So it's pretty incredible. And basically when you get to your destination, that image in your top left-hand side there, again, there's a little ramp that comes out the front. You just walk down and off you go. But as I said, everybody gets to go at once. This ensures no one's waiting. We've got the comfortable seats on board. There's also a full audio equipment system on board as well. So you always get that clear commentary from our guest lecturers and our expedition team, whether you're sitting at the front or the back. All the sides as well, they're all open, so you get a fantastic view. If we do happen to run into some bad weather, it's a bit windy, we can pop the clears down and that just keeps you a bit more protected. We do have toilet on board as well for that remote convenience, and most importantly there's a roof as well, so that's probably key for me. I like to keep out of the sun, so that's just going to give you that sun protection, especially if you're traveling in one of the warmer climates as well. And when you're out for a few hours at a time, that's nice protection for you. Yeah, so fantastic. And that's what we do all of our shore excursions on, as well as we do have our Zodiac inflatables as another option. So the Zodiacs, it's just another exciting and flexible option for our shore excursions. We use these to navigate narrow inlets and waterways, and another way to get close to nature. So we'll use the Zodiacs where possible, and just depends on the location. If you're a little bit nervous about if you'll be able to get in and out of the Zodiacs, I always suggest if you can stand up and down on and off a chair, just be careful doing that, obviously, but you'd be able to get in and out of the Zodiacs quite easily. The team do a really good job to assist you as well. So we have a 3-step process with the team, and they'll run through that with you once you're on board. But basically you'll step on the side, step on the seat, and then step down. So very easy to get in and out. But as I said, if you think you can get up and down off a chair, you'll be more than capable to get in and out of the Zodiacs. But we always have the Zodiacs side by side with our explorers, so you can have best of both worlds that way. All right, now solo travel options. So we have a couple of options. Basically, our overall policy for solo travel is 1.5% of the fare. However, we do have a few other options which you can see on the screen there. Again, for more detailed information, we break all these down on our website under the solo travelers section. So from time to time, we have some great no sol sup offers, which is usually outside of inside of 30 days, we offer these. Sometimes we will do some out of the ordinary offers outside of 30 days, so you can find them on our website. But yeah, if you have a bit of a flexible agenda and you can travel within 30 days, then that's always guaranteed no sol sup. And then another option is to do solo share. So I know this might not appeal for everybody, but some are quite happy to do this option. But if you are thinking about you're quite happy to share, I would definitely suggest becoming a member of that Facebook group. So you can start up a discussion around what trip you're interested in and put the feelers out there, see if anybody else is interested in this option as well. But again, if you just check out the website, there's got a really detailed solo travel section on there, which will explain all the different options for you as well. But yeah, we've got multiple options for you to pick from. All right, so we'll run into some questions now if anyone has some questions. If you do think of something later, please reach out to our res team. So our reservations details are on the screen there. You've got 1800 079 545, or reach out to your travel agent. As I said, guys, they work very closely with us. They'll be able to help with any answers for your questions as well. But just a quick insight for you on solo traveling with Coral Expeditions. As I said, I've formed some fantastic relationships with the group of ladies that were on board my trip, and we still are in regular contact a year later planning our next trip. And I'm sure you'll have the same experience as well by traveling with us. But I'll just check in and see if we've got any questions. We're a quiet group today. All right. No? Nothing. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining, everybody. As I said, any questions, reach out to our reservations team. They'll be more than happy to help, or contact your travel agent as well. And jump into that Facebook group. It's fantastic. And it's just a great platform to start up those discussions or answer any questions or ask any questions that you might have about solo travel. Well, hopefully we see you on board one day, guys. Thanks so much. Bye.